Hey, witches!
Hi, hello, and welcome
It
back
is.
after 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. you know, back to school and illnesses and short staffedness and
Yo,
um
I feel that short-staffedness all the time. I get you.
yeah.
I get you.
And then, mental health. Well, technically I'm not short staffed. I'm fully staffed. They just cut half my positions. So, but that's not something we're going to get into right now.
I'm fully staffed for the hours I have, but I still need like 3 or 4 more people to do stuff that needs to get done.
Exactly. Exactly.
Corporate America. Let's get spooky, bitches.
My cup says, Happy Hallow Thanks, Miss.
I'm so excited. Literally, as soon as September 1st hit, I was like, spooky season.
Yes. We're literally, I told Brittany that we're having a date afternoon this afternoon and we're going to Spirit Halloween because it's finally open and
Yes.
the at home store to look at spooky
I'm
season
so
decorations.
poor. I paid a bill. We got to go get clothes for Will for his interview. And I'm like, okay, should I put $100 on this bill, put $100 on this bill, get groceries and see what I have left over and just use all of that for like decorating? Because I went through like you ever get like into those like moods where you're like everything is dirty, even if it's not, and you have to like just clean and declutter and you just toss shit without thinking about like anything?
Yes.
I did that and I threw away all of my Halloween decor. Not all of it, but I threw away a pillow that had Happy Halloween on it. But it was an older pillow and my cat kept licking it. So like the
Ugh.
peels of it or whatever kept coming off. So like the the pumpkin that was on it literally had like was missing part of the pumpkin because it was like a pale yellow versus like the bright orange of a jack-o'-lantern. And then I like had like a table runner thing and I just tossed that because I was like, this needs to go. This needs to go. I need to mop the floor. That was a bad
yeah,
day.
I've
But
I've done that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
now I'm poor. So I can get more.
The
Maybe I'll
only
just go to
reason that I have any extra right now is because I finally got paid for all of the summer hours I put in. So I have a
mm,
little bit of extra right now. And I was like, let's go do something fun. And we might not even buy
yeah.
anything, but we're going to go.
Go to look. I enjoy going to look just to see all the costumes that are coming out.
yeah, that too.
I it's just so fucking hot, but I really want to go pumpkin picking.
it's not
But
as
it's
hot here now, but it's supposed to be next week.
yeah, it's like 80 something degrees. 89 and 90 and I'm like this I'm fucking
Gross.
no. Hot shit. Anyways, today we're going to be
Anyways,
talking about folklore.
yeah. I'm going to start with nymphs, which there was actually, once I really started digging in, there are a lot of famous nymphs. So we are probably not
Yeah.
going to go through all of them. I'm going to start by talking about just the types of nymphs and then get into some of the more famous ones. So nymphs are any of they're inferior in big quotation marks. They're female divinities. They're usually associated with fertile growing things like trees, plants, water.
I think the best version of a nymph that I always think of is from Hercules when Phil is chasing after
Yeah.
like one of the nymphs and then she just turns into like a tree and then like blossoms fall
yes.
down. That's all I think of.
Yes. Uh yes. Um they are not immortal, but they do live very long lives.
Oh, they aren't?
They're not
Huh.
immortal, but they
That's
live way longer than like humans.
probably more like
And
elves in a way.
yeah, and overall they are like kind and okay with humans. Um the different like types of nymphs depends on like what part of nature they're connected to. Um So I did not, because I finished researching this like late last night, look up
Same.
pronunciations. So I apologize. But I think this is Nereid. So the Nereid are any of the daughters of the sea god Nereus, um, and Doris, which is the daughter of Oceanus. Um, and Nereids are, they look like young females, like young girls, and they inhabit any water, salt or fresh. But the reason they're different from naiads is because they are specifically the daughters of Nereus and Doris. Then there's naiads, which are nymphs of flowing waters. So springs, rivers, fountains. It also says lakes, but I don't feel like lakes are flowing. So just don't mind me.
Yeah, I think it really just depends.
Um, yeah. So naiads are only in freshwater too, and they're supposed to be really beautiful females, young. Then there's the dryads, which I have really been connecting to lately. Like I've been really, really all about dryads lately. They're also called hamadryads. It depends on where you read it, but it's the same thing. Um, they live in trees and they take the form of a beautiful young woman. But like in Hercules, they could turn into trees. I don't think in the earlier mythology they could turn into
Actual.
trees. Yeah, they just like lived in the trees. Um, but um they're like the spirit of the tree. And originally it was just oak trees that people thought they were the spirits of, but later it was applied to all tree nymphs because dries is was the Greek word for oak. So that's why they're called dryads.
Oh, and you know too, I wonder if that as like like Greece, Romans started like venturing out into the world, I kind of wonder if that's where like the oak king of like elves come or something like that because they were like druids, not dryads, druids, and they're like
Yeah,
tree people, not people, but
probably. I feel like it all trickles down through history, right? And gets watered down and adopted for other things.
oh, I
Um,
love history. It's so fun.
it's
It's
so
not even a
interesting,
history episode, but it's
especially
so fun.
right. Well, especially like the mythologies and the different religions, like looking at the different religions throughout the ages and like how they just kind of like are all the same thing but like watered down
Yeah.
is really fun. Um oh, also dryads, it's believed that they only live as long as the trees they inhabited, which is why in a lot of the like movies and stuff, you'll see like the trees die and so do the spirits. Um
That makes sense.
it's depicted that way. This one, I don't know if it's pronounced the Hesperides or the Hesperides. I'm going to go with Hesperides though because it's Greek and that's kind of,
That sounds about
yeah.
right.
Um, they are nymphs of the evening and golden sunsets. So they're the daughters of Nyx, and they are entrusted with the care of the tree of golden apples, that was given to Hera by Gaia on her wedding day, which we could do a whole episode or two on her marriage, but and then
Love heroes.
the Hesperides, yeah, right. The Hesperides were assisted in guarding this tree by Draken, which is a dragon. Um, and there was actually a story where Heracles, or I think are Heracles and Hercules the same person?
It is. Hercules is the Roman version, and
And
Heracles is the Greek version.
okay, yeah. So um, he came to take one of the apples as one of his 12 labors. and killed the dragon and stole the fruit, and then
He's like, yoink, that's mine.
basically. But Athena comes and takes the fruit back from him and gives it back to the Hesperides. So
Athena.
they're basically guardians, which is kind of interesting because they're like the evening and golden light of sunsets, but also they're like protectors, which is just an interesting
Maybe because like sunlight and light in general just
bring
brings like
warmth
its
and
own
safety, maybe.
protection. Yeah.
Maybe.
Like
Because they
imagine like force fields. Almost all force fields are like golden in games or something
yeah,
like that.
that's true. That's true.
And darkness is always like evil.
Yeah. Sorry. My dog is literally singing right now. Oh, because the sirens, it's 11 o'clock on the first Saturday of the month. The tornado sirens are going off. I don't know if you can hear
Oh,
that.
what a Midwestern thing. Yo, when
And
we
the
got
dog
tornadoes,
is
oh,
singing.
I love it. It's like my people. Yeah, when we got siren or not sirens, we didn't get any sirens, but when we got tornado warning and like tornadoes for with the hurricane this past week, uh I was like, man, this is how you receive the wrath of God. And someone's like, you're such a good Midwestern girl. And I was like, yeah, man, hurricanes, nah, tornadoes, up my alley.
Yeah, I have a student who can perfectly imitate lots of sounds, but specifically tornado sirens. And it is the worst. So just, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so the golden apples aren't the only thing they protect. They also keep other treasures of the gods. And actually, when excuse me, when Perseus killed Medusa, he got the like tools or like weapons and things that he needed to do that from the Hesperides. So, fun fact.
Gorgons. I'm going to talk about Gorgons.
Right? Connections. The last type of nymph that I was able to find. So there was I just focused on the female ones, but there were also like satyrs and
Those are considered nymphs.
yes, they're the male counterparts of nymphs.
So
Satyrs
fill out
and
TTs.
yeah, I didn't write it
No
down, but there
wonder
was
he was
another.
trying to get with them.
There was another. It was like the Methianites or something like that. But I didn't write about those because just with the female ones, I already had like enough meat for a whole episode, so I didn't go into the the male counterparts. So the Ori are the nymphs of the breezes or winds. They're daughters of either the earth encircling river Okeanos, which the Roman is Oceanus, or the north wind Boreas. Um, yeah. And in the story of Kephalos, the dawn goddess Eos was portrayed as an Ori, which the singular for Ori is actually Aura, which is kind of cool. Okay. What's
There's
happening
like
over there?
there's like five spiders. So I sit in front of a window and I just see like five spiders all in one area on the inside.
Oh no.
So like when you open up a window and it's got like that screen right there, they're on the screen on the inside. So if I open up this window, those five spiders and they're like this big.
Don't open the window. Don't open the window.
We
Okay.
had the windows open yesterday because it was so nice yesterday.
Gross. Gross.
Go ahead.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. No,
That
you're fine.
scared the it kept coming out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
And then I got distracted by you being like, okay, famous
Sorry.
nymphs.
Sorry, I
Famous
don't like
nymphs.
spiders.
The majority of the famous nymphs are nereids, which is interesting. Um,
What are the
oh
nereids
god,
again? The water?
they're the water nymphs that are specifically daughters of Nereus.
Okay. Okay. And then the dryads are the tree nymphs. Got it. Okay.
Yes. So Amphitrite is a nereid. She's mainly just famous for being the consort of Poseidon. There wasn't really a whole lot else about her, but I mean, honorable mention, right? Then this is probably my favorite one, Thetis, who was the wife of Peleus and mother of Achilles.
I
Um,
didn't know he was part nymph.
yes, yes.
No
Um,
wonder he had a weak ankle.
right. So she was loved by both Zeus and Poseidon,
Of
but
course. Zeus.
yeah,
Gotta stick
yeah,
his dick anywhere.
everywhere. But Themis, who is the goddess of justice, revealed that Thetis was destined to bear a son who would be mightier than his father. The two gods were like, "Nope," um,
Not
and
today.
they gave her, because she's not a being with her own free will, to Peleus, who was the king of the Myrmidons. He was mortal, um, which was also interesting. Um, she was not thrilled with this situation, obviously, and kept changing herself into different shapes. But Chiron, the centaur, finally helped Peleus capture her. And when you read it, when I was reading the I think it was Encyclopedia Britannica, um, it says, but assisted by the wise centaur Chiron, Peleus finally captured her, raped. He raped her. But
Yeah.
he raped her. Um,
Captured. Like she's a
yeah,
fucking animal that needs
right,
sent away.
right. And then because of that initial rape, Achilles was born. Um, According to some stories, Thetis bore 7 children, and all of them, when she tried to make them immortal, died. Um, but Achilles, when she tried to make him immortal, Peleus basically stopped her, um, and she left him. And then the other big thing that she did was she saved Zeus when Poseidon, Hera, and Athena all revolted against him. So why she did that, I don't know, but she did. And then she rescued both Hephaestus and Dionysus from the sea.
Good for her.
Right.
Oh, Jesus.
Another honorable mention, I couldn't find a ton about her, but Galatia was loved by the Cyclops Polyphemus. So,
Oh.
honorable mention. Then there's Arethusa, which I just think is a really cool name.
That sounds like a I was gonna say that sounds like a name that you would name like a car from like Grand Forza or something.
Right. It is the name of a spring, or two different springs, honestly. One in Elis and another one on the island of Ortygia. Um, but the river god Alpheus fell in love with Arethusa, who was in the retinue of Artemis. So she was one of Artemis's like warriors. Um, and she did not reciprocate his feelings. And so she ran to Ortygia, where she was changed into a spring. But, Greek men being Greek men, um, went under the sea and connected his waters with the waters of the spring. So raped her again. There's lots of rape in Greek mythology. Um,
Which is so weird.
yeah, and it was said in book 5 of Ovid's Metamorphoses that Arethusa was being pursued in her human form, and Artemis is the one that changed her into the spring at Ortygia. So interesting facts.
I like how all the
Um,
female goddesses are always like, well, okay, not all the female goddesses, because there's quite a few that have like kind of done fucked up things, Hera. Um,
the Aphrodite.
but well, come on, of course she is. But like Artemis and Athena, I feel like those two, from what I've heard, now there could be some myth that I haven't heard yet, but I feel like from the myths I've heard of them, they have actually done quite a few things to help damsel in distresses
Yeah.
out of
Yes.
the kindness of their own heart, not to get back at somebody.
Right.
I mean, possibly to get back at the male gods that are, attacking them, but
Right. Ugh. It's really gross when you really get into it. Like, ooh.
and
There's
Hera and Aphrodite are so toxic.
yes. Yes. And like sometimes you're like, is it because of the situation they've been put into? But then you're like, also no. Like, stop.
You're the queen of the gods. Like, you can't
Right.
do anything.
Mm. Mm.
You gotta kill your,
Literally everyone.
yeah, like, damn.
That's just always her solution. Kill them.
Kill
Okay.
her, not son.
I have 2 more nereids and then I have a couple naiads, so we'll see. I'm trying not to go too far over my time.
It's okay.
um Calypso,
Ooh, I love
yes,
that.
is
I love that
the
name.
daughter of the Titan Atlas. Um and in the Odyssey, she entertains Odysseus for 7 years and tries to get him to stay with her, but she could not overcome his longing for home even by promising him mortality. So Zeus sends Hermes to ask Calypso to release Odysseus, um, and she finally does. But um, she also had twin sons of Odysseus, which their names are hilarious. Nausithous and Nausitus, and it's spelled like
Nothingness.
almost exactly like nausea, which I think is funny. Next is Callisto. So we had Calypso, now we have Callisto, who was a daughter of Lycaon of Arcadia or of Cetius. It's not for sure. It just says different things in different stories. She is one of the goddesses, or she is one of Artemis's huntresses, and swore to remain unwed, but she was loved by Zeus, and Zeus turned her into a bear, um, to conceal what he did from Hera. Um, and then now she's a bear. Callisto's a bear, and Artemis is on the hunt and kills Callisto, mistaking her for a real bear. Um, and Zeus and Callisto had a child named Arcus, who Zeus gave to the Titaness Maya to raise. And then he placed Callisto among the stars as the constellation Ursa Major. Um, and in Ovid's Metamorphosis, Book 2, Arcus was turned into the star Arcturus. Um, so, constellations, fun stuff. Okay. And then there's a famous naiad, Daphne. She is the personification of the laurel tree. Um, and she rejected all lovers, including Apollo, who was obsessed with her. And when he continued to pursue her, Daphne prayed to the earth, or to her father to rescue her. And the earth, which is Gaia, turned her into a laurel tree, which Apollo then took the laurel tree and decided that was for poets, um, because he loved Daphne. And then
Did
she
he
was also
love
loved.
her, or was he just like a stalker?
Right. Like, I feel like that's a lot of what the gods do. Like, it's not actually love, they're just like lusting. Um and then Daphne was also loved by Leucippus, who Apollo then killed because he was jealous. So, you know, toxicity.
Stalker. That's a stalker thing. You can be jealous
Toxicity,
healthily of somebody, but you don't have to kill them.
right? And then that is all I have for nymphs.
Nice. 4 minutes to spare.
Yeah.
That's
Look
what I'm
at me
talking
go.
about. Okay. So I am going to be talking about the Gorgons. So a little genealogy for you. So the Gorgons are actually, um, I would say, cousins to the Nymphs,
Okay.
based on everything. So the Gorgons are, um, the children of Sato and Phorcys, which we've already heard about Phorcys. And all of that. The Gorgons are siblings with the Hesperides, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, and so they're pretty close to Gaia. Gaia is their great grandma. Pontius is their grandfather. Um. Oh, never mind. Let me retract what I just said. Gaia is their great grandma slash mom, grandma, because Gaia had kids with her son Pontius.
Oh,
And here's the thing: I don't understand how like gods work when it comes to like children.
and incest.
Yeah, because like
Lots of incest.
I know how we have kids. I know what incest can do with kids nowadays. I get it. They're celestial kind of beings. That
Well,
doesn't
and
matter
didn't
to
like
them.
Aphrodite
It's
like
still
fall out
fucking
of
weird.
Zeus's head or something? Like,
Aphrodite is the I don't understand like the dotted lines that they have here. Um but Aphrodite is the child of Thalassa and Pontius, according to
oh,
this. But that's, I mean, Athena. It could be Athena.
oh, that could be too.
That-
One of them like fell out the side of Zeus's head or something.
I feel like that was Athena, just because Athena is, I think, the goddess of like war and like warfare kind of stuff. So like that would just make sense to pop out of the side of the head.
Yeah.
Um, Aphrodite would probably be the groin, to be honest. Um, um, but anyways, so the Gorgons are very similar to the Nymphs, cousins, if you will, according to their genealogy family tree that I have pulled up. So Gorgons are um, widely depicted as women with snakes as hair, mainly because of the most famous Gorgon. Well, I would say most famous Gorgon, Medusa. Medusa actually has two siblings, um, Stheno and Euryale, I think it is. Um, so Stheno and Euryale were actually immortal, but Medusa was not. Um, and was actually slain by the demigod and hero Perseus. Um, and Gorgons go back as early as Greek literature, but there's actually people in like the Celtic region, that have Gorgon heads on the outside of what is it? On the outside of their like tombs in a way. Um,
Okay.
yeah. Um, so near Burgundy, there's actually the Celtic Lady of Vix has a Gorgon head on the outside of each of the three handles from her grave, and that's
Hmm.
510 BC. Um, so they've been around for a while, um, but they're dating back to like 1194 BC, all that kind of thing. So Gorgons are a popular image of women with snakes on their head. And it's actually, they were also depicted by Homer, who is an author of the Greek, what's the word? I don't want to say adventure, but
Odyssey.
Odyssey. Thank you. I was going to say epic, the Greek epics,
Oh, that works too.
a Greek epic. Yeah. And they have legendary and powerful gaze that can turn one to stone. Anything from objects to buildings, for protection, or not for protection, but anything from buildings and objects actually have the Gorgon like face on it for protection. So it's actually known as a protection symbol, despite it being like a terrifying thing that we believe it to be. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Um, And actually, when I was in Russia, there's a few places that have so many things with like a Gorgon head on it. Not like buildings in Russia, just because of like they have their own stuff, but at one of the museums there with all kind like when they had all kinds of like Greek art there were so many things with Gorgon heads on it, and it wasn't even like depicting s- stories from the epics. It was legitimately just decoration.
Hmm.
So,
That's cool.
despite us believing Gorgons being a terrifying thing, most people believe it to be protection. So, if you have a Medusa head or a woman with like snakes on their head, that's protection.
I like it.
So, knock off that negativity that you got there. Um, but, anyways, so the primary location for most of the Gorgon images are at the Temple of Corfu, which is the oldest stone pediment in Greece and is dated back to about 600 BC. So most of these again are just going to show a woman like a head with snakes. You'll actually see it in other things where it's a basically a snake body, um, and like a female top with snakes coming out of her head. Um, some other people think it's just like a woman who can walk on like that can like hide her hair, um, or her snake hair, I guess. And then in what is it? In the movie Hercules, in the Disney movie Hercules, Medusa was literally like a wasn't she like a giant, I don't want to say like a giant woman, but like she was a bigger woman that kind of reminded me of Ursula in a way.
Yeah.
And then she had like this, she looked like a, what is it? She had like a, I think she had a, like a typical like theatrical witch nose, and then like snakes coming out of her head. So she's been depicted randomly um throughout the year. Uh, so there's actually some places in ancient Greece where people would wear reptilian attributes such as a belt made of snake skins, or just something emanating the snakes, like entwined in hair or something like that. They are derived for guardians closely associated with early Greek religious concepts at the centers such as Delphi, where the dragon Delphine lived and the priestess Pythia delivered oracles. So I guess that ancient temple was just covered in this for protection. And most of the people there would like wear belts and all of that, like with snake skin type depictions, so that they would have like their natural
Hmm.
whatever, I guess. I don't know. Um, so some people, let's see, there's different pictures here um, of what they looked like. They also include that she had wings. So she was like a human body with wings, and then like not snakes that would like fly or like that would like slither about on her head, but like they would kind of sit down like how my hair is sitting right now
Hmm.
is I guess the most common one. So wings, snakes, and a possible snake body are various things of that, of what Gorgons looked like. But also Gorgons were what is it? They were part of they were part of Pontus. So and Pontus was part of the sea, so that kind of makes sense. Or they would have more like scale like features.
Yeah.
Maybe not wings, but something along
Right.
those lines. Um what is it? What is it? What's it? Oh, a number of early classical scholars actually believe that they call it a quasi-historical myth of Medusa is actually is like a reanimate like imagination of an actual invasion. So like the legend of Perseus beheading Medusa means specifically that the Hellenes overran the goddess's chief shrines and stripped her priestesses of their Gorgon masks, the latter being saprotropaic faces. I don't know. To warn to frighten away the profane. That is to say, there occurred in the early 13th century BC an actual historic rupture, a sort of sociological trauma, which has been registered in this myth, much as what Freud terms the latent content of the neurosis is registered in the manifest content of the dream, registered yet hidden, registered in the unconscious yet unknown or misconstructed by the conscious mind. Thank you, Jay Campbell from 1968. That reminded me like I was in college again and I did not appreciate it. Um, so basically, the myths that we all hear about Perseus beheading Medusa was truly actually just him beheading a priestess and ripping
Hmm.
her like hat off or her like mask off because they actually have like Medusa masks. There's a Medusa mask I'm like looking at right now. So that's fucking sad to think about.
That is sad
But
to think about.
again, that was said in the 60s when a lot of the like more sociological thinking started like coming around. So we're talking about like thousands of years ago this happened and somebody in the 60s was like, "Nah, that's not real."
That
So
didn't actually
believe
happen.
what yeah, believe what you want. Anyways, they're also depicted as having claws and tusks of boars, as well as scaly skins. Some people believe that oracles, so even some of the most oldest oracles, were protected by the serpents, and lionesses and sphinxes were also depicted with the Gorgon heads. Um, there's a powerful image of the Gorgon was adopted for the classical images and myths of Athena and Zeus, perhaps being worn in continu. Why can't I say the most simple of words? Continuation. Continuation.
It's early. It's we just
I
woke
have to
up.
say it wrong twice before I could say it right.
Oh my
Continuation.
gosh.
You ever just look at a word and you're like trying to sound it out like you're told to do in first grade, and then you do, and then you're like, that doesn't sound right. And then it hits you like, oh, that's because it's this. I hate
Yes.
English. Hate it.
Yes.
Anyways, of a more ancient religious imagery. So it's all dealing with religion from what I see. In later myths, the Gorgons are said to be the daughters of like the two sea deities, which was Sato. Apparently, Sato is like a sea monster. I always thought, I guess I never actually heard of her, but when I started reading like
Yeah.
Lore Olympus and I saw Sato in there, I was like, why does she look like that? But also, is she like the void? Like something to do with the void? Because her eyes in the Lore Olympus is like dark and then like
Right.
white eyeballs. So it's like,
What's happening?
yeah, but I guess she's a sea monster. Um, and then Forces, her brother husband. That's what it says. Her brother husband.
I cannot. No.
Oh man. Um so Homer is one of the first uh authors of European literature to speak of the one and only Gorgon. Um Represented in the Iliad as fixed as the center of all that is happening. So the way obviously they describe her is as a dreaded monster, the Gorgon, dread and awful. Um, which is fucking terrible, but it's also a male author, and we see in most male myths and creations that women are terrible people.
Yeah.
But you know, whatever. Um, but then around 700 BC, Hesiod imagines the Gorgons as sea demons and increases the number of them to three. So Medusa actually has the two famous sisters, Thenno the Mighty, Euryale the Farspringer of the Wide Sea, and then Medusa is the queen. Although I think Medusa is the youngest of the three, but it doesn't necessarily tell me which way what. So I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but anyways, so they're daughters of sea deities, and then their home is on the furthest side of the Western Ocean, according to later authorities in Libya. Ancient Libya is identified as a possible source for the deity Neith, who is also a creation deity in ancient Egypt. You know, that actually makes sense why most of the people actually say that Medusa is depicted with like wings or something like that, because the Sphinx, is it the Sphinx or is it the, yeah, the Sphinx. I don't know about like the actual like thing, but
The
the Sphinx is
creature,
the,
though.
yeah, the Sphinx is the one that makes you do like
Riddles.
riddles, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, that one has like wings
Hmm.
and obviously like the head of a person, body of a lion kind of thing, depending on where you're at. But that actually makes a lot more sense. That's cool. Um, didn't know that. But anyways, uh, people also said that when Greeks occupied Egypt, they called Neith Athene in Greece. So, like, Neith and Athena are, I guess, very similar in terms of, I guess, powers. I
Oh,
don't know.
okay.
Um, crap, I lost where I was. Oh
Oh,
no.
no.
So the most famous of them all, again, is Medusa, just because of like we hear all about the Perseus and Medusa. Um, so King Polydectes sent Perseus to kill Medusa in hopes of getting him out of the way while he pursued Perseus's mother, Danae. Some of these myths relate that Perseus was armed with a scythe from Hermes and a mirror from Athena. Um, Technically a shield, I guess, which I guess the name of the I think I found the name of the shield. Um, but of course I wrote down too much, so I don't know. And then my notes are all scrolling together. Um, Anyways, so Perseus could safely cut off Medusa's head using the spear and the scythe without actually falling into her stone look. Um, Apparently, from the blood that spurted from her neck and falling into the sea, that sprang Perseus, or Pegasus, not Perseus, Pegasus, and Chrysa, Cerisa, or whatever, her sons by Poseidon. They also, some sources say that each drop of blood that dropped from her head after being cut off actually turned into snakes, and that is why the world is full of snakes. Um, Perseus is said to have is said by some to have given the head, which retained the power of turning into stone, to Athena. She then placed it on the mirrored shield called Aegis, and then she gave it to Zeus. And then some other sources say that Perseus actually kept the head and then buried it in Argus. So if anyone finds a head in Argus areas with
Could be Medusa.
a weird bone structure.
It reminds me of in Percy Jackson when he like keeps it and goes and like turns his stepfather to stone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking here. Um,
like keeps it in the freezer.
yeah. That's so weird. That's such a shitty movie, but it's also, I never read the book, so I can't say it's shitty because I mean
The
it's
books
not
are
good.
okay. It
Yeah,
they're definitely for children.
yeah. But anyways, so in ancient Greece, the Gorgonian, uh, a stone head or engraving or drawing of the stone face, often with snakes, and a tongue sticking out between her fangs, are frequently used as symbols and placed on doors, walls, floors, coins, shields, breastplates, and tombstones in the hopes of warding off evil. In this regard, they are similar to the sometimes grotesque faces of Chinese soldiers' shields. So like that like weird like demon looking face that you can get in like an iPhone, like the little picture mask that has like the teeth coming down and the teeth going up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one. That's kind of what she's depicted as in some
Oh,
things. But that's protection, so I don't
okay.
know. In some of the Greeks myth, they say that blood taken from the right side of a gorgon could bring the dead back to life, yet blood taken from the left side was an instantly fatal poison. So be careful where you got your blood from. Apparently, Athena gave a vial of the healing blood to Asclepius, or Asclepius, or whatever, which ultimately brought about his demise. So she probably got it from the right side, or the left side, not the right side. Heracles is said to have obtained a lock of Medusa's hair, which possessed the same powers as the head, from Athena, and gave it to Sterope, the daughter of Cepheus, as a protection for the town of Tagia against attack. According to the latter idea of, not latter, later idea of Medusa as a beautiful maiden whose hair had been changed into snakes by Athena, the head was represented in works of arts with a wonderfully handsome face wrapped in the calm repose of death. So some works will say that Medusa was actually a priestess of Athena, and it's either Apollo or Poseidon. It's one of the male Greek gods. Um, Came to her and she refused his advances, and so he was like, "Fuck you, I'm going to take you anyways," and basically raped her.
Rape.
Yeah, and
Lots of
she
rape.
like called out to Athena for help. And that was her response. She's like, no man or whatever will help you, or not will help you, but will like take advantage of you because of these powers. Um, but I don't have that anywhere listed as a legitimate myth, so I really don't know where that came from.
Okay.
Um, Majority of it is literally just that Gorgons were born from whatever, and she was a Gorgon from birth, not like anything else. Which actually, I mean, maybe not that it's true or anything, but like maybe that is similar to the the guy from the 60s talking about the like somebody coming to take away, attacking the random priestess and cutting off her head.
Oh.
Maybe that is similar to that in many ways. I don't know. But there's actually Medusa is listed in a lot of the Western culture. So she's depicted in A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Um, Not necessarily like to the T that she's like in it, but um, saying that French aristocracy is basically the Gorgon, even devoting an entire chapter to this metaphor.
Hmm.
Um,
I
Percy
have that
Jackson
on
and
my
the
bookshelf.
Olympians.
I have not
Oh
read
yeah,
it, but it's there.
it's a classic. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, where Medusa's in the first book. And I guess Theno and Euryale is in the later part of the
Yeah,
series.
they are.
Another modern depiction of Gorgons is seen in Clash of the Titans. That's actually a really good movie. Whether
Clash
that's,
of the Titans.
yeah, have you seen it? Yeah, that one's
A
good.
long time ago.
And then there is a 2003 book about called Medusa's Sisters, which tells the story of the Gorgons from their perspective.
Ooh,
That's
that
actually,
sounds good.
yeah, I think it's called Medusa's Sisters. It's not like italicized, so I don't know if that's the name of it or not, but sorry, there's something in my eye.
Ugh.
I have contacts, so like shit always gets stuck in the eye, which is horrible. Ugh. Anyways, um, let's see. Do I have anything else? I don't think so. I think I kind of went through them all, a little back and forth, but I did it.
It's okay. I love it.
Uh, yeah, no, I'm just gonna stop it there because I really don't fucking know.
Okay.
Oh, I found the Poseidon seduction of Medusa. Yeah. Okay, here it is. Okay.
Ooh.
Um, Hesiod's Theogony talks about Poseidon. He of the dark hair lay with one of these Medusa, one of the Gorgons, in a soft meadow and among spring flowers. Another one says Medusa was violated in Minerva's or Athena's shrine by the Lord of the Sea, Poseidon. It was Poseidon. Zeus's daughter turned away and covered with her shield her virgin eyes, and then for fitting punishment transformed the Gorgon's lovely hair to loathsome snakes. Uh, as a bird, Medusa, the snake-tressed mother of the flying steed, was seduced by Poseidon. And then another one says that Poseidon, well, actually, that one says Neptune, so this is like Roman poetry. I am not reading that. Wert thou mindful of thine own heart's flames? Uh, what is it? Where is it? Basically, another reason of like Poseidon taking it, not Poseidon, but somebody taking advantage of her, of course.
Hmm.
And then Athena saying that after it is affirmed by some that Medusa was beheaded because of Athena, for they say the Gorgon had been willing to be compared to Athena in beauty, so Athena was pissed and wanted her dead. Um,
Petty.
my God, how I don't. Okay, this is what I don't understand about Greek myth. There's so many things that happen and so many little things that could happen, but then I have all this information about what possibly could have happened, and then nothing. None of it's
Right.
like, I don't want to say accurate, but none of it's like this is confirmed or this is that. I don't know. Basically, all I got is that Athena could have done it. Athena could have been pissed off and made somebody do it. Um, Athena could have protected her because Poseidon raped her. I don't know. Or she could have just been born as a Gorgon.
You know,
Any of those. Anyways,
lots of different options.
that was a lot. I'm sorry.
It's fine. That's the
I
point,
run in
right?
disorganization. Anyways,
All right.
okay, guys. Until next time.
Bye.